Happy Sunday night and welcome to another episode of the Park Adventures Club. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys for spending your Sunday nights with us. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Park Adventures Club for more great content, and also make sure to give this video a like as it helps people to find us. Tonight we're going to be talking about several things, including how do you do Disney? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? I think there's a right way to do it, but we're going to talk to these fellas right here about that and so much more, starting with Mr. Patrick Hackett. How are you, man?
It is a special all-hat edition of Park Adventurers Club.
It is. It is. We do love a good baseball cap, don't we? And then, of course, all the way from his home office, it is Mr. Rob Bazemore. You're not in your home office. You're in an office.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had a power outage last night, so we're going on 48 hours without power. So that's why I'm wearing the hat. Not that I have hair to fix anyway, but that's the real reason I'm wearing the hat.
This is true dedication, my friend. We appreciate you for being here tonight and talking with us. And like I said, our main topic tonight is as you saw in the thumbnail. It's how do you do Disney? We're going to talk about that in the back half of this meeting. But this is run like a meeting. I got a gavel and everything, so it makes it official. But we have an agenda as well. The agenda is as follows. We're going to have the reading of the minutes. That's our actually review of last week's big theme park news, starting with Spaceship Earth returning. The Jollywood announcements they had, the attendance charts that came out. Universal made a change to their ticket system for 2026, and of course, the Festival of the Arts were released, information released on that one as well. Nope, Festival of the Arts. Festival of the Arts. So let's talk about Spaceship Earth, because you remember Spaceship Earth was, well, first of all, remember it used to be good, Patrick?
I honestly don't even remember what it used to be good, to be completely honest. It has been this version for so long.
No, that is absolutely true. There was a refurbishment starting on August 25th of this one, and a refurbishment for indeed. There she is. There's Spaceship Earth. They brought it down on August 25th, and then it was supposed to run till I think October 25th, which was yesterday. They opened it up a week early. That's not a lot of time to do anything new to it, but there was a time, Rob Bazemore, where they talked about doing a complete refurbishment of this, changing the storyline and all that. And it sounds like they've reopened it with no guest-facing changes. I feel like I'm a little sad. How do you feel about it?
Being the icon of EPCOT, it is very disappointing that they haven't taken the opportunity to refurbish it. I think it went away with that 2-story platform they were having for an events. It's sad what budget cuts can do, but of all the things you budget cut, it seems like this iconic sphere that means everything to anyone when you're talking about EPCOT would have been at the top of the list. And I'm hoping that as they have that huge budget to refurb the parks in general, that eventually we'll see that refurbishment.
Yeah, and no matter what I do, I can't change your Chiron. So in the past couple of seconds, you've been Stephanie and Charlie, but we'll get that taken care of.
That's right.
Patrick, same question to you, man.
I was so excited for the proposed changes that were coming in 2020, and as you know, things happened. You may or may not have heard, but to not address this, to put a bar in, to do a refurbishment that doesn't really do much except, I guess, a little bit of paint, a little bit of effects improvement. It's a ride without an end. You just scroll backwards in darkness with geometric shapes and curtains. We can't keep doing this. The price they charge to have an attraction in this condition is sad. I hope it gets the love it deserves.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it was one of the first ones in the park. It's the icon of the park. It should be something better than it is. The original one with Walter Cronkite, I remember because I'm that old. And then they came in with Jeremy Irons and then Judi Dench. Is that correct?
Put some respect on her name. Dame Judi Dench.
Dame Judi Dench, exactly. And then, I don't know if they're planning on changing the narration. I hope so. But that refurbishment that they had in mind with this, the new theme of it and everything would have been great. But I agree with you. It's like that Descent is the biggest disappointment of all time. I love the concept of riding Spaceship Earth, but I think that it used to be so much better. And when you know that it used to be better, it feels like maybe they need to do something about it. Rob, let me ask you this about this before we move on. Is this used to have sponsorship to it? And one of the things we noticed, and I'm the guy that says when I was in Tokyo, so get ready. When I was in Tokyo, we noticed that a lot of things had sponsorships on them. And I feel like over the years, we've gotten rid of sponsorships of a specific attraction. Some of them still have it. But I feel like if they would bring in another sponsor for this thing, maybe we could actually get it upgraded.
Oh, for sure. If it was a revenue generating fixture like Geo 82, can you imagine if they put as much attention to detail and Spaceship Earth that they did for the bar on the other side of it? How awesome it would be. It would be pretty incredible. But yeah, absolutely. If they had someone who would be a sponsor, donate $100 million or such, you would see a completely different ride.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next topic, which is Jollywood Nights is returning this year. And quite honestly, I am surprised every year when it comes back, because the first year it took such a beating, but I guess they're making enough money on it for it to be a thing that comes back. I enjoy it. I went to the first two. This is the third year for it. I'm excited to go back. And one of the things, Patrick, I love seeing about Jollywood Nights is that all of the characters that they bring out for this thing. And honestly, I'm always torn, because I'm like, should all of these characters be behind a paywall? Wouldn't everybody love to meet Santa Duffy, Santa Stitch? And now this year we're going to have Chewbacca in his Life Day garb. I mean, how do you feel about this?
Man, I mean, as an elder millennial, it has the characters that I need to meet the most. It has Max Goof as Powerline, and it has Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Should these characters be behind a paywall? I don't know, because we've seen the way people react in Florida to walk around characters. You really can't do it. I don't know how people would react if in the wild, in a regular park day, you saw, I don't know, give me like Kidda or someone like that, a rare character. I like that they bring them out for these events. I like that they bring them out for the races. But Partysaurus Rex, man, that's so cool. It's just so good. So good. I don't want anything like this really behind a paywall, but I don't see a way for it to be successful otherwise.
Okay. Well, you know what? I don't know. I'm excited about these characters, and usually, like when you walk through the parks on a regular day, you're seeing the Fab Five, and then maybe Chip and Dale, and then a couple of princesses, and they're usually done. So I think when they bring out somebody else, it is pretty exciting. I feel like that, though, Rob, should be the not the norm, but more regular than it is. So in addition to this, and Rob, I know you've been to this event, the first year when we walked out, they gave us a coaster set as a thanks for coming. Here's a coaster set. The second year, they gave us marshmallows, and then, like, not a ton, like 4
Those marshmallows are gross too.
In a champagne marshmallows in a box.
They're awful.
Well, and this year we get a Christmas ornament, Rob. I know that probably doesn't affect your opinion about going to this thing, but are you excited about the Christmas ornament and not the marshmallows?
Yeah, just one other quick thing about the specialized characters. Okay. I think that there's two things. You and I have had a conversation before about why, I don't think it's a good idea for every Disney park to be drastically different, right? You want to make sure, since most people will only go to the park a very limited number of times, you want to make sure that the characters that will resonate the most with the audience are always there. And unless you're going to add in, double the number of character meet and greets you have across the park, you're going to want to have Mickey and Minnie and the princesses and those characters that everyone wants. They probably care a little less about us old guys who want to harken back to the day and some random character that most people won't even know who they are, and put the ones that are going to be the most desired by the broadest group audience. So that's just about that. in terms of Jollywood Nights, I love Jollywood Nights. It is for me. It's better than Very Merry Christmas. That for me, it's two things happening. It's a much more adult kind of event. Like I went with my wife last year, and it is kind of upscale and people dressed up, and they have elevated food, and and they have the bands performing. It's just a very different event than the other party they have, and it's really for me very much tailored to adults. There's quite a few of specialized alcoholic beverages. You know, and it just seems, and I don't know if they're going to do the Brown Derby event that they did last year,
They are.
but the Brown Derby event was getting an elevated experience within the event, within the experience. It meets a very different audience. It serves a very different audience than the other Christmas parties. And I know year one was an issue, and it got off to a rocky start. It's a huge production. And there goes my lights. I'll have to get this back on in a second. It's a huge production, and there definitely were kinks in the beginning. But I think they moved very quickly to resolve the issues, like within the first few weeks. And year two was a great event in my opinion.
Yeah, just wave your arms a bunch like this.
With the lighting that you have, I feel like you want to tell me about the tale of Dark Plagueis.
Hey, I'm lightning out of my fingers, right?
Perfect. A lot of people wonder, like, is this a highly produced, show that we drop, or is it live? It's live. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it is.
Gonna do it live.
So, yeah, we do it live. Looking at those characters, though, I agree with you, Rob. You make a great point as usual. Sometimes I agree with, and sometimes I don't. In this case, I agree with you that is a good point. That if you are going to a park, that you want to make sure, if it's your very first time, you get to meet Mickey and Minnie and Pluto and Donald and Daisy and the main ones. But I feel like they should have more of these out for the people who are the hardcore fans. The Max Goofus Powerline they've done more often. Like that was one of those that they did for a little bit, here and there, hard ticket events, and then they let out there. But Phineas and Ferb are at this one. Bo Peep, Lotso, Jose and Panchito, Baloo and King Louie, and I won't go through the whole list. Duffy Santa, I think, is a big get. Last year they had them in Grand Avenue, and I'm glad to see that that's coming back, but it's going to be in the Walt Disney Presents area. But again, looking through this list, the one I think that we're really excited about is Chewbacca in the Life Day, because that's like you've got a whole land that you haven't taken advantage of with Christmas, because and they haven't like leaned into Life Day as much. There's been some merch, and on the actual day they do some stuff, but it does feel like they should be taking more advantage of that. Patrick, before we move on from this one, Mandalorian and Grogu, should either of them be wearing a Santa hat when we meet them at these parties?
Grogu should 100% be wearing a Santa hat. I don't care. I'm so tired of them trying to pretend this land is continuity and is somehow canon. I don't care. Put Grogu in a Santa hat immediately.
Okay.
Just all the time. Grogu should have seasonal hats. This is something I now feel very strongly about, despite never considering it until just now. He should have seasonal hats, like a little Grogu baseball hat for the summertime. It'll be great.
I mean,
so
I'm down. I think it's a great idea. And just so we can call it out, the gift this year for
it's
those
really
who
nice.
attend,
I like that a lot.
Is this little thing right here, and it's got 2025 on it. It says Jollywood Nights. It says Hollywood Studios. This was
it looks really well put together too. Like it doesn't look cheap. That's a box of gross marshmallows. Quick aside, I was so excited to try that marshmallow place because they have a little kiosk in Springs, right? And they are absurdly expensive. But I was like, I love a marshmallow. How you gonna mess up a marshmallow? They're gonna be flavored? I'm very excited. And then they were terrible. Come on, marshmallows. Champagne flavored marshmallows? What are we doing?
I mean, I don't know. It's as Rob says, it's an elevated experience. So obviously you're going to want some champagne marshmallows. Let's move on to the next topic, which is talking about this survey that came out, this data for the top 25 amusement and theme parks attendance worldwide in 2024. So obviously not 2025 because that ain't over yet. But I was looking at this list when it dropped, and I was excited to see that all four of the, well, I guess all six, right?
No, not this again.
What?
So, all six. You're talking about domestic. I thought
Yes.
you were revisiting the conversation we had about water parks.
Oh no, I don't see them in here. No, but that's
I know, so strange.
yeah, it's like almost like they don't count them as theme parks. It's crazy. But anyway, so this list right here that came out is here are your stats for attendance in the thousands of these parks, and Magic Kingdom is number one, which it should be. I feel like that's a good thing. Disneyland Park number two. Universal Studios Japan in Osaka surprises me at number three because I would have thought that Tokyo Disneyland would be higher. Shanghai. And then Tokyo Disney Sea at 7 surprised me a little bit. But it looks like, for the most part, that the two Universal parks were down. Rob, do you think, because again, this was 2024, do you think that maybe it's because people were anticipating spending 2025 at Epic and they decided not to do this?
Well, there's two things that would obviously. I think obviously you would think yes, right? Because if you're at parks and you would go and you don't go every year, you're going to want to go when the new park is open. But the flip side is, I do remember from reading that report that I believe that the other Universal parks also saw a decrease. So if you were to base it purely on a decrease at in Florida, then that would definitely make sense. But I think they saw a decrease across the board in all their parks.
Well, and again, like, I'm not sure if I showed the list, but I meant to show the list. So here's the list. Here's, again, Magic Kingdom at the top. And then everybody's showing a positive here except for Disneyland Paris's negative 1.8%, which there's been a lot of construction there. I think most people probably want to put that one off. And then the two Universal parks in Orlando, the Studios and Islands, were both down. Islands much more drastically than the rest out of that top 15. Patrick, what are your thoughts on all this?
Man, I don't know if I believe these. It's so hard because they're so guarded about the information. I know Themed Entertainment Association does a really good job, but it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel right that almost every single Disney park is above the other two in the other Universal parks in Orlando. I feel like that, is it really getting that little attendance? I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine Disney being that far ahead of Universal. I wonder what it's going to look like in 2025 with Epic. And 2026, because we're going to talk about that coming up about Epic as well. But I don't know. It doesn't look right. It doesn't pass the eyeball test. But I'm not that smart as I think I might be. So it could be 100% correct.
Well, I see you commenting with David Lung in the chat, where David Lung was like, wait, Volcano Bay is a theme park? Yes, Disney Universal's been arguing for years that they've had 3 gates and now 4. They really have 3 theme parks and 1 water park, or Disney World has 6 parks, plus let's throw in Springs and every other gate that they have and go ahead and raise those numbers up higher. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting data for sure. It's exciting to think that we as Disney crazed fans get to go to these. Like, I think Rob and I both probably went to the 6 domestic Disney parks in 2024, right?
For sure.
And I'm noting to myself that in 2025 I'm can't wait for this list to come out, because I feel like I've burned more of my potential retirement money in one year than I ever possibly could have because of theme parks this year. So can't wait to see the 2025 list. Check them all off from my box on the corner. It'll be great. Before we move on, I do want to acknowledge a super chat from our good friend Jungle Cruiser, and let's go ahead and get that going. He says Walt Disney didn't want Disney to have a liquor license in 1955. They used Swift meats to get it. I don't understand why people need alcohol at a kid-centric theme park. Never will understand. I guess thinking more along the lines of Jollywood and the alcohol and the partying and the things that go on there. I think I used to be the same way, that like I would want the parks that were like pristine to be dry parks. I always used to joke about the fact that when I worked at Disney, you couldn't have a mustache and you couldn't smoke. And I was like, who used to have a mustache and smoke? Oh yeah, Walt Disney. Like, I
And
mean,
drank.
it was, yeah, exactly, exactly. So I get it, but I feel like they're at least a little bit more protective in some ways at the Magic Kingdom than they are in other parks. I feel like you can meander
There's a
around World
straight
Showcase.
bar there now.
Well, that's true, but I was gonna say I feel like
Oh,
you can't walk out with the drink, which is like a
for
World
now.
Showcase. You can walk
For now.
around. Well, okay. Yeah, we'll see how all that works out in the long run. Let's move to the next topic, which we were talking about a little bit ago. And Rob, I'm gonna come to you about this one first too. Is that when we first heard that Epic was opening, they were like, there were so many rules. A, it's not going to be part of the pass holder. B, to get the tickets for Epic, you're going to have to buy like a package deal that includes these other parks, which if their numbers were down, that makes sense. And they had all of these like things in place that made it difficult to get just buy an Epic ticket. And then they came out with, okay, pass holders can buy an Epic ticket. And then it was like, okay, everybody can buy a 1-day ticket, but then you can't park hop. Now in 2026, not only will your multi-day tickets be able to get you into any Universal Park that you want to, but they also will have the ability to park hop. Rob, do you think people will take advantage of that, considering how much time it's going to take to hop from Universal to Epic, or like Studios to Epic?
Yeah. Well, first of all, is it that much more if you want to hop from, I don't know, Magic Kingdom to Animal Kingdom? I mean, that's a pretty long hop to go from those two parks. I think it was from a business standpoint. I definitely think it made sense for them to try to maximize the revenue at opening, and they did have to put artificial constraints on attendance, right? Otherwise, Epic would have just been, overrun every single day, and the other parks would have been empty. So again, I get why for the very brief opening window they made those adjustments. Um, you know, I think everyone realized that eventually it would have to be folded in and just be part of the Florida experience. So I think we will see that. And I do think that the park hopping will be a big piece of it, at least, for the next few years, as the majority of Universal fans probably have not even had a chance to make it to the park yet. I don't know about you, but when I booked my ticket, I had to buy that silly package. I got a night in the Grand Helios and then 2 days, but I can only go to Epcot. I can only go to Epic one day. Honestly, I didn't even go. I didn't even go to the other parks the next day. Right? I just paid for 2 days just to go to one day of Epic. So again, I'm sure they made a lot of incremental revenue off that, but it wouldn't last for long. I think we all knew it.
Rob out here burning money. No, no,
Oh,
no,
and
no.
it
I
infuriated
get
me.
it. I get it. No,
It
I mean it
infuriated
makes
me.
sense. We
For
do
the
what?
people we are, I had to go. Right? It was me and my personality. I had to go to it and was willing to pay for it to do it.
Well, when they first opened up to pass holders, I was like, okay, this is great because my family, they opened this thing up in May. My family was going in June. I couldn't wait to take the kids. And it was like they opened it to pass holders. I was like, that's great because like when Disney opens something to DVC or pass holders, you can buy as many tickets, or 4 tickets on one pass, but not at Universal. It was like only the pass holder can buy the ticket. So that was kind of a bummer. And then they opened it up to anybody could buy tickets, and I was able to buy tickets to take my kids, and we had a great time. So I didn't, unfortunately, sorry for you, I didn't have to pay for the package deal to get there. Patrick, you haven't actually been to Epic.
I
Is
have
is
not.
some of this stuff keeping you from doing it? Do you feel like this will open the doors for you and your family for the next trip you take?
It's just the age of my child. My daughter is 6. She's not tall enough or wouldn't enjoy a lot of these attractions. I have been trying desperately to get her to watch How to Train Your Dragon because I would like to meet Toothless. I don't care that she might not want to meet Toothless, but I would like to. Um, I think it's right now the overall cost of Universal. We usually buy an AP and try and work how many days we need to make it worthwhile at Disney, which is becoming more and more days every year. So, adding in another day at Universal could really add to the cost of the vacation, but I desperately want to go to Epic.
Yeah, you do. It's pretty amazing.
And just so you know, it is 20 minutes from Universal Studios to Epic. It is 25 from Magic Kingdom to Animal Kingdom.
Don't you dare throw common sense into this conversation. Don't you dare.
I wanted to see, because I'm like, well, how far is it actually? But that's also time right now. At 9 o'clock at night, it might be different during different times.
No, I agree. I think part of my hang up when they added Epic and it was so far away that this land was from the main Universal parks is thinking about the fact, well, you're driving through a lot of just retail area. You're not just necessarily driving, on Universal roads. And, I guess that doesn't really make a difference in the long run, that it's still a bus trip away to get to, Animal Kingdom. It's still a bus trip away to get to Epic Universe. So not that big a deal. And, if you're staying at the Stella Nova Terra Luna resorts, they're like, you can see the park from there. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. But, yeah, it's not that big a deal, but again, even with Animal Kingdom, though, we'll talk about this in our part about how do you do parks. Even like if you're at, say, Magic Kingdom and you want to like jot over to Animal Kingdom, on paper, it seems like a good idea. But like in the reality of it, it can be a bear. So we'll talk about that. Let's talk about our final topic from Old Business, which is the EPCOT International Festival of the Arts, which is, as I've mentioned before, this is my favorite festival. I always call it the best fest. 2026 EPCOT International Festival of the Arts is coming back. We knew it would be. There's only 39 days. It says it will run for 39 days in 2026. So I guess that's probably about as long as it normally does, but it always feels like it's too short. January 16th through February 23rd, and they do the Broadway experience and the food booths and the art exhibits. I got to meet Dave Perillo, who was one of my favorite Disney artists, and have him sign a piece for us when we were there last time. So I love this one. Patrick, you love this one. You love calling it the wrong name. It's
Farts.
Great.
It is the Farts, the best festival that Epcot has to offer is Festival of the Arts. But Rob, you missed out on something really important that they announced for 2026, and they're doing something special with Lorcana. I'm very excited. I started playing Lorcana again. I started collecting right in the beginning, but I didn't really play much. But now my daughter and I are playing. I got my folio ready to go. I'm so excited. I'm not going to be there for Festival of the Arts, but I am very excited for the Lorcana bit. I can't wait to see what they're going to do.
Okay. Well, let me hang on. Let's find.
Let's find.
I have too many windows. Let's find Rob Bazemore. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah. So first of all, I've only been, and this is embarrassing to say, I've only been there to this festival for half of one day. But I just looked, and I'm actually going to be in the park. I booked a trip next February, and it just so happens that the time is going to align, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I really I've seen videos and photos of some of the amazing art and the artists, and I'm really excited and very scared about how much this festival is going to cost me.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean because of all the artwork you're going to be buying?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to try really hard not to buy.
Well, I mean, if it helps, it may be difficult to like get it back home. Maybe, I don't know. It's
plus my wife is going to be with me, so she perhaps can slap some sense into me.
So you'll have an adult chaperone with you. Okay, that's probably that's
my wife for me too. Yeah.
Does she smack you and go, no, stop it?
It's a little rolled up newspaper.
Let me just channel this for a second, Rob. Based on my own personal experiences, does it go along something like this? Like, if you got that, where would you put it? We don't have enough space to hang anything else in our house. Is that how it goes at your house?
That would definitely be very much part of the conversation. Yes.
Yes. Where are you going to put that popcorn bucket? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's puts a close to our old business. Thank you guys for reviewing all that kind of stuff with me. Patrick, if I get to go to this thing, I'll make sure to have all the Lorcana fun for you. So that'll be.
I'm just excited to see what is going to happen. I'm like that it's going to be part of the parks.
Oh, great! Because those cards are artwork in unto themselves. Yeah. They're beautiful. I just hope it's not one of these things where I have to chase down cards, because I will chase down a card. Like if it's a collectible, that I will. All right, let's before we go on. Okay, wait, we got another super chat, and this one's important. So hang on to your hats, folks.
Ooh, it is.
This one again is from Jungle Cruiser. It says, Rob, will there be a new Figment bucket or sipper? There have been some pretty good buckets. Patrick helped me hook me up with one that was the pyramid one that they did, the original. That one, that little beauty. Yeah. Oh, and it lights up, and yeah. All right, hang on. I'll go full screen here. Let's
cool.
enjoy it.
Look,
let's enjoy it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What year was this from? Festival of the Arts. It doesn't have a year. Look at that. That's upsetting.
Look, it's a BBC lounge.
Yeah. It is.
So last year was the light bulb, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much.
Bulb. Oh, but I bought it. And then the year before that, I think, was that one that you have. Yep. And then the 2 years before that were the original Figment bucket. So I feel like they're going to have to do one every year. That was a horrible noise. Thanks for sharing that with us.
It really was, and I tried so hard.
Across the chalkboard right there.
My bad, Pat.
But honestly, Jungle Cruiser, I'm excited to see if they do something new, because I will buy it. But if they end up doing the light bulb again with a different strap, I will. That was how I will be able to resist, is if it's just the light bulb again, because that one I bought, but I don't love it as much as I do the one Patrick got there. So
I love that
anyway,
so much.
So speaking of how we do things at the park, this question has crossed my mind. How do you do Disney? And let me tell you why, in particular, this one has come up for me, is that I think in most cases, because of the people who know me and know how many trips that I take to Disney, it's always like, oh, you're going to Disney again? I can't understand why you would go to Disney yet again. Like, that's one of those things that people say all the time. And I just like, have you done Disney? And if they go, yeah, we didn't really enjoy it, then I always say, well, then you did it wrong. Obviously, it's on you. You did it wrong. So when I was growing up, my dad would take us to Disney instead of like carnivals and things like that. We could never go to carnivals because I've mentioned this before. It's like he didn't understand the idea of taking a roller coaster, putting it on a flatbed, driving it to a town, having someone who, like unpack it, put it together, then pack it back up and take it to the next town. It was a scary thing to him. And so he would, say, sense. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And so, I think he also loved going to Disney. So we would go, but we were stay off grounds, pretty cheap. I drive somewhere like that. I didn't stay on a Disney property until like I was like 25, I think. But we went. And then when we would get there at rope drop, and we would go all day. And it's like we would be there when they turn the lights on, and we would be there when they turn the lights off. Like that was how we did Disney. So it made me think about, there are a lot of people, and I think Rob was one of them, who have always told me that I'm really missing out if I don't like take in the amenities of the resorts that are there, the pools. And I think Rob does like a spa and like a hot stone treatment when he goes and all that kind of stuff. But there are also people who go and enjoy like a split vacation, where people will go, like, somebody in the family goes and plays golf because they have some world-class golf courses there. Somebody will go out and spend their time at the pool, others in the parks. I have a thought about how I think I do Disney. We're going to break it down by categories here, and I would love to hear from you guys in the chat how you do Disney. But Patrick, let me start with you and say, is there one thing that you always think to yourself when somebody is getting onto a Disney trip or coming back from one, or that you talk to them about, where you're like, I do this better than you do when I go to Disney?
The thing people really don't consider is how many outfits you could actually utilize in Disney, because you get sweaty. Bring extra clothes. Get a good backpack. I bring a change of shoes, and that saves my feet. I will bring either start my day in flip flops and then switch over to sneakers, or start my day in sneakers and switch over to flip flops. I'll have them in my backpack. I'll have a change of clothes in my backpack. I'll have my water. Get a good backpack that you know can handle everything that you need, and pack smart. Make sure you have enough clothes so that when you're svitzy, you can change, because you don't want to sit there all swampy and gross. It ruins your vacation feeling that way.
This has been a Hackett hack. That's what we'll
Yeah.
call that.
Oh God, I didn't like it.
I'm going to say it again, a Hackett hack. Rob, is there one thing that for you that stands out before we get into the categories we've talked about?
I think that I did the perfect stress-free Disney vacation. When we go, we typically go for not a long time, usually 4 or 5 days. I don't, I try not to have too many ADRs. I try not to have too many expectations. Maybe I'll pick 3 or 4 rides that I say I would love to ride these rides while I'm there, and then I just go with the flow. Right? We spend a lot of time at the hotel relaxing. We might rope drop and then come back and relax, and then go back to the park at night when it's a little cooler. But for me, it's about it being a stress-free vacation, and I think we do it really well.
Okay. All right. Well, so I feel like what you're telling me is that Rob B doesn't get too overstimulated at a Disney park. Like, do you get dysregulated? Is that what happens? That you if you take in too much stimulus, you're freaked out? Okay.
Yeah, I just enjoy being in the parks, right? Just seeing the people, engaging with the cast members. It's less.
I want to tour with Rob. Because my family is not like that. I can't get my family to spend more than 20 minutes inside Animal Kingdom. And I just want to go and meander around and walk the trails and just enjoy my time there. But it's like Lion King and out.
All right. So yeah. Well, I feel like, Patrick, you can come hang out with us because I feel like we do it right. But let's break it down category by category. First one is mornings. Because, if I'm on vacation, Rob, I don't love to get up early. Like, that's part of being on vacation is I like to sleep in. And so, there are people who like to rope drop. And this is one of the things that always got me. And we are not going to get into a virtual queue conversation because I feel like Rob B and I are against each other on that one. But with virtual queue, it was like getting up at 6:50 to make sure we hit that button to try to get onto an attraction and then find out we can't. And then just cry a little and roll over and go back to sleep. If you got it, that was great, and it's like you felt like you had a victory. But if you didn't, then then you had to get up for nothing. But a lot of people like to get up, rope drop. A lot of people, and I've talked to Shannon when she's talking about her Happiest Stays show, where she loves to get up at 6, and if a coffee shop in the hotel doesn't open by 6, she's a little bit upset. And I'm like, no one should be in the lobby at 6 a.m. on their vacation. I just feel like that should not be a thing, but I know some people are in. So I guess starting with Patrick. So do you rope drop or do you sleep in because it's a vacation? And then to follow up, do you eat a full breakfast, or do you just grab and go into the parks?
I am not rope dropping. I'm not rope dropping. I'm not waking up early. I hated having to wake up to get in virtual queues and to make sure, when you could only buy your lightning lanes that morning. I hated that stuff. It was a significant damper on my vacation. Breakfast or grab and go is tough because having a DVC, I'm usually staying in at least a 1-bedroom. Sometimes we're in a 2, depending on how much family comes with us. You have that full area and you're going to want to take advantage of it. So I do grab and go, but a good character breakfast at least once over the course of your trip really hits the spot, both in meeting characters and hitting the spot with a good meal to carry you through the day.
Yeah. Okay. Rob B, which way are you running?
Yes. So a few things. I'm a rope dropper. Most days. My wife is not. So typically she will tell me to leave her, and I will go into the rope to the parks while she takes a great a nap, or she hangs out, wakes up later, and hangs out by the pool. I did not typically do a big breakfast. I will hit one of the Starbucks locations, just like I do every day in my real world. Do that, hit my, I'll probably be in the parks, if I get early entry, and then I'll probably be in the parks for 3 hours. And then I head back to the park and back to my hotel, hang out by the pool and relax. So I'm a rope dropper, but I'm not rope dropping and then rope drop to close. I'm rope dropping until it gets too crowded or it gets too hot. And then I head back to the hotel.
So you do it wrong. Got it. So I was actually thinking about what you were just saying about you going without your wife. Like, we move as a pack. Like, we are a squad. Like, whenever we go, and again, my children are adults, but it's like, I'm not going to hear from them, hey, we're going to run back, or we're going to run out to hit EPCOT and we'll catch you guys later. No. If you're going, I'm going. Like, we're going to move as a pack. So that's probably unique to our situation, and I get that. But let's move on to talk about what you just mentioned, Rob, is like, I have on the list, do you take a midday rest or a fancy dinner? And when I say that, I mean, do you stop, go back to the hotel, swim at the pool, then come back to a park? Or do you just stay there until you want to then, end your day with a fancy meal somewhere? And maybe they're not connected. But I found when my son was younger, my wife would say, let's go back midday and we'll take a break and we'll have him take a nap and we'll go to the pool or whatever. I always found we never wanted to go back. If that was the case, like, we would get back and everybody would get sleepy, or he wouldn't sleep and he'd be like jumping on the bed, Oklahoma. And so we would just, like, I felt like it was a waste of time. Like, and again, that was probably the way I grew up, and time was ticking away, and, the parks are out there. Like, I want to be in them all the time when they're open and when I'm awake. So, the question of the midday rest, or then do you just, like you said, Rob, kind of take all your time in the morning, then go back to the hotel, then maybe go to a dinner. So I feel like you've already answered this, but also just again, wait, one other thing that I wanted to throw in as I was thinking about this. You remember when they did those cabanas at Tomorrowland?
Oh, man.
You totally would have done those, wouldn't you, Rob?
I would have, if I had known about them. I would have, for sure.
Okay, so talk to me. So again, you just reiterate, I guess, that you go back for a midday rest, right?
Yeah. So, I will tell you that, and you'll probably hear this from a lot of DVC members. Like, when I became DVC, the way I did parks were very different. When I knew I was only coming to the parks once a year or once every other year, I felt like I had to be in the parks all the time, maximize my dollar, ride every single ride. But now that I know I'm going to go back 2 or 3 times a year, it's okay if I don't if I don't ride a ride I want to, because I know that I'm going to be back in just a few months and ride them again. Now, are there some rides that I feel like I have to ride every single time I'm at Disney? Yes, but that's not the case. And again, I think it very much changes on how frequently you go back to the parks.
And there goes the lights. All right, Patrick.
Boom, boom. Out go the lights. Yes, the midday rest is key. I agree fully with Rob. As a DVC member, you changed the way you tour the parks, because it is no longer the clock ticking away. You're coming back. You have this time that you're going to go to Disney because it makes the most sense financially when you invested that much in DVC. But what I want to say is, those families on that once-in-a-lifetime trip, meltdown o'clock is real, and it hits us all. It hits adults, it hits kids. That rest, that shot back to the hotel will help you so much avoid the meltdown. And it doesn't even need to be if you're staying on property. If you're staying close by, we just talked earlier, some of these hotels can actually be pretty far out. If you're staying close by, go take a minute, use the amenities at your resort, get lunch, and then come back refreshed. Come back after the 3:00 rainstorm.
Yeah, when that other show we did, when they came out with the cabanas, we roasted that hard, because it was like, you're gonna rent a tent in the Magic Kingdom. What kind of bougie person? But now, knowing Rob and Shannon and Stephanie, I know bougie people who would have rented one of those cabanas. But it was super nice. It was all set up that you would go and just like have a place to drop your stuff that wasn't in a locker, and thinking about me and carrying around popcorn buckets and stuff probably would have been nice. But when you are nearby, you're right. But nearby is really relative at this point, because there are 26 hotels and they're all over the place. And so if you are, when people are asking me for advice, they're like, oh, well, we should be at the Magic Kingdom, right? Because it's right on the monorail. I mean, a Magic Kingdom resort, because they're right on the monorail. And isn't that convenient? Yeah, it's convenient for Magic Kingdom, but it's not great. It's a little bit better for Epcot, but then, the other two, it doesn't really matter how all that pans out for you.
The Crescent Lake resorts are really, I think, the best location.
Yeah,
I think that gives you the most flexibility.
I think the Skyliner resorts are the
Yep.
best ones because, which again, the Crescent Lake ones fall on that. But I think with the Skyliner resorts, you're able to get into Epcot and studios pretty easily. But again, it doesn't really help you for Magic Kingdom. So if you have small kids, it's probably better to try. If you're going to do multiple days at Magic Kingdom, it probably is worth your money to have something that's on that monorail line. So let's talk about meals, because sit down meals can burn away your day. It could be like an hour to 2 hours of your day. But to your point that you were talking about that midday rest, Patrick, that's what we kind of invoked instead of the midday escape, because travel, again, back and forth, and we'll talk about this a little bit, to and from your resort can take some time. So
Yep.
rather than do that, we would do a sit down meal, and we would do it in the lunch, not dinner area, because it was the heat of the day. It was a chance to recharge your batteries, to sit down with the kids, to get a good meal in you, and to get some AC and some hydration and all that in the middle of the day. So that's what we kind of worked into. That's how we do it. Is we do a sit down meal in the middle of the day rather than what is typical is people wait for dinner to have the biggest meal of the day. But we also only did them in the parks. So only recently, and again, we're all DVC folks here, and I think that all of us are probably in a nice place that we can go more often. Only recently have we started going to those resort restaurants instead of just the ones inside the parks, because it was a travel nightmare again. If we were in the Magic Kingdom, and even if we just wanted to go to the Contemporary to do Chef Mickey's midday and then come back to Magic Kingdom, that's going to be, an hour meal or more plus all the travel time. So where do you fit in with these, Patrick? Do you guys do sit down meals in the middle of the day, or do you do counter service, get done what you need to get done and get out?
You actually just gave me a really great idea that maybe instead of dinners, we'll try and do sit down lunches. We usually try and get one sit down meal a day just to make sure you're getting something that is a little more elevated than your grab and go in the park food, and a little more substantial. And, some vegetables. Vegetables are key. Not really easy to get those as you're grabbing and going. But I like what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. That at lunchtime might be a better plan, and then do counter service for dinner. I think you're onto something here.
If we only help one person tonight, and even if that one person is you, Patrick, then we did our jobs. So that's really all that matters. Rob B, same question.
I would actually agree. That is actually a really good tactic, one that I haven't tried before. Although it would have to be on a non Magic Kingdom day, because the only acceptable lunch in Magic Kingdom is the egg rolls. So that kind of
true.
That kind of gets, but for the rest of the parks, it totally makes sense for sure. Especially if you don't want to go swimming, right? That may not be something you want to do. You may not want to take a nap. You may not want to swim, and those are the two predominant things you do back at your hotel.
So this I had two questions here, but I'm gonna try and combine them as one here. So the first question was, go back to the resort or grind it out, and I think we've kind of talked about that a little bit. Is that my take on it is always just like grind it out. Some people like to go back to the resort, but the second question I had was, do you park hop, or do you stay the entire day in one? And I think these are connected, but they're not. So like, it's not just like, do you stay all day in the parks? It's, do you also go from Magic Kingdom, say, over to Animal Kingdom? And again, Rob, like we just talked about, the travel time can be a killer, and not just the travel time, because there's other things you don't have to think about. Yes, Patrick can go and Google that it's a 25-minute drive from where did you go from Magic Kingdom to
MK, which isn't even real. Well, yeah, I guess, because you got to go from the bus depot. I just went MK to MK, door to door.
Magic Kingdom to Animal Kingdom and take the bus. But what you don't take into account too is your leaving time from that park, because you have to go all the way to the front gate, leave, wait for a bus, because that could take 20 minutes, and then get on the bus and get over there, but go through security again. Because you're outside the bubble, you have to go through security again. So I feel like, Rob, that park hopping doesn't make as much sense for me anymore, unless it's like I just have to run over and grab a popcorn bucket from Animal Kingdom because they're the only ones that have it. And apparently everything that I do hinges on popcorn buckets. But what are your thoughts?
Really?
I park hop almost every day. Because when I look at it, there's probably only, I think about must-do rides. And each park, there's probably only 4 must-do rides for me. So that does not make a full day park. And at this point, again, going back to those of all of us who have been there many times, we probably have ridden every single ride, and we know the ones we like and the ones that probably aren't worth our time. So I go and I hit the rides that I want the most. I get the snacks that I want the most. I head back, and then that night I will head to a different park, and I will hit my 3 or 4 things at that park that I want to ride and experience. And so I park hop almost every single day.
Interesting. Yeah, Patrick.
I don't park hop every single day, but I will take into account what the wait times are and what we've done in the park to see if after our break we go back there, we go back somewhere else. If we're going gung-ho to the parks, we're almost definitely hopping. You gotta go and see what else is out there. You get bored being in the same area all the time. You gotta jump out over to the other parks.
Who are you people? You get bored?
Yeah.
You know what? When I was a little kid, my mom would say if I was bored, she would give me a bathroom to clean. Like that's like
I'm not allowed to clean the bathrooms at Walt Disney World. Believe me, I probably would if I could.
No. You know what I'm talking about. Like you feel like you should never be bored at Disney. Like you're doing it wrong.
Hold on, time out.
You're doing it wrong.
Give me 30 seconds. I don't need a full. The wait times are crazy. You're in at Magic Kingdom. You hit 3 attractions that you really wanted to do. The wait times are crazy in there, and you're getting bored just standing around. There's not great quick service. There's not great places that if you're like, hey, I want a sit-down meal, where can I go get a sit-down meal? You want to head over to somewhere else. There's probably a festival of some sort at EPCOT 80% of the time. Hop over to EPCOT. You can go get a snack. You can see what some of the other attraction wait times are. You can ride Living with the Land. I can't ride Living with the Land if I'm just sitting in Magic Kingdom waiting for something to open up because all of the wait times are out of control.
All right, time in. So here's the deal. When you go to these parks, though, I always have a plan of like, here's all these things that I haven't done since the last time I was there, or that I want to take the family to do. And so I usually plan out and go, hey, all right, so we're going to do Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and then we're going to go over to eat at some other restaurant. And I don't know, I feel like I can fill up a day in such a way that I don't need to worry about, like, am I going to get bored? Again, if you're doing Magic Kingdom and you're getting bored, I don't know. I guess. I feel like you guys are against me on that one, so I'll let that one go. Let me throw one in that I didn't mention, but you guys kind of brought up and inadvertently here. And I saw somebody in the chat talking about EPCOT and festivals and food booths. Patrick, do you go to EPCOT when they have a festival? And let's just say you're not going to be bored and you're going to spend the entire day there. Let's just throw that out there as a possible.
I think bored might have been the wrong word. I'm looking for more.
Oh, it was the wrong word. That's why I'm trying to help you out here. But let's go back to if you go.
Yeah.
Do you do a meal, like a real? I don't want to call it a real meal, but like a meal somewhere, and then do the booths, or do you make the booths your entire food for that day?
I try to do the booths as my entire food for the day because I like to try novelty. A lot of times I am outvoted and we end up going somewhere for a sit-down dinner, but I would prefer to just eat my way through the festival. It's so much fun. When there's new things to try, there's new drinks. You got to hit up those festival booths. It's really, honestly, it's all EPCOT is right now. It's like 2 attractions and festivals.
All right, Rob, same question.
It's similar, actually. It depends on the crowd levels of the parks. If EPCOT is super crowded, you can spend 20, 30 minutes in each line just to get food. So when it's a really peak time, then I will probably not. I will probably get a sit-down meal somewhere. Like Le Cellier is one of my favorite restaurants, and I eat there most days I go to EPCOT. But if it's not crowded and I can do it like it was probably designed, and I can go, in 5 minutes, stand in a line, get a food and sample around the world, then I'll do that. I mean, I think that is the preferred way to do it. But the reality is when the parks are too crowded, I'm not going to spend, hours waiting in line to get food, and some of it not even that good.
Well, I've run into that problem that you're talking about at Disney California Adventure for their food and wine is that they have such long lines to get to buy the food, and then you have to go to a second line to pick up the food. It's not just buy it, step up, they rip your ticket and go, $5 all day or whatever, and then you grab it and go. It's you go into a different line, and so that line is almost by the time you get there and you eat it, you're like, well, now I need something else, but I'm gonna have to go wait in some other line. So I get what you're saying about like the lines may have something to do with it. I feel like with my family, they need at least that sit down, and maybe we've trained too hard around the idea of that midday break. They need that sit down meal. Even if we're doing food booths, and my wife has said before, I need real food, but it's like this. That's what this is. This is real food. Like, so I see both sides of that one. As well. So along those lines, for things that I did when I was growing up, is parades. Parades and fireworks were those things that in a lot of cases my dad would say, hey, that's when all the rubes are sitting and waiting for that. Let's go ride the rides, right? Like that's what he wanted to do instead of waiting for a parade. And so when I was growing up, I think I missed a lot of those parades and things because we wouldn't necessarily camp out for a parade. So I guess my question is, Patrick, do you go and do you camp out for a good spot for a parade or fireworks, or do you take advantage of that time to go and ride some attractions? Or there's a third option, is when you pay to play, and do you get like a reserved package somewhere?
You got me. I'm not waiting with the common folk. Are you kidding?
Gen Pop, please.
I need to have my roped off area where I can enjoy the parade and fireworks from the comfort of those also willing to go into ridiculous depths of their pockets to pay for. So yeah, no, I'm hanging out there, but it also depends on the day of the trip. The first night I might want to camp out for fireworks and for the parade, but on all the rest of the nights, I might do attractions. Or what really is wonderful is trying to catch the fireworks from some of your favorite attractions. Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Dumbo is perfect during the fireworks, and if nobody else is riding, some of the great cast members will just let you keep going, and it is a wonderful, magical experience.
Well, that definitely, I was going to say, that seems like the true magic, is you're on an attraction and able to enjoy the fireworks. Yeah. But you know what? If I know Rob Bazemore, I think that if he wants to watch a fireworks show, he's going to buy a dessert package.
I don't actually. I've never bought a dessert package. Thank you very much, Rob. What I do though is what I do, and you guys probably do this often too, is I'll head over to Villain's Lair. And I will, have cocktails and have, and they pipe in the music and a good view of the actual fireworks. You don't get to see all the projections down Main Street, but it is still a very good experience. There's typically not a bunch of screaming loud kids there. People aren't elbowing you for spots. People aren't putting their kids on their shoulders and they're in front of you. So I do that, and then I love the nighttime parade. Now that is something that if I'm anywhere near Magic Kingdom, I'll go to, and I will just, it's so long that you can typically find a decent spot to watch the parade. But those are the two things I do have to do, and I do enjoy them both very much.
Yeah, I feel like to really enjoy those fireworks, though, happily, specifically, you need to be in front of it to see those. Because, it's not like Wishes where it's just all fireworks. It's got the projections, and you need to be able to see that and hear the music. And I think
there's definitely pros and cons for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fun to do, but you don't do that necessarily every night. I love Starlight, but Starlight is one of those that it's hard for me to get to now, because it's like, is it a hard ticket at night? Because if it's a hard ticket at night, then you're not going to see Starlight. So that's one of the things that becomes a challenge down the road there too. So in that same vein, and we're almost done with this, I would say, what about shows? Do you go see shows? And when I see shows, I mean like movies, or the film festival at EPCOT, at Journey, at the Magic Eye Theater, or Awesome Planet, or the Beauty and the Beast sing along, or like even stage shows like the shows at the Magic Kingdom or things like that. So Rob, do you go to the shows that are there, or do you just do mostly rides when you go?
And I do a few things. So like when I was just out in Disneyland, I obviously saw the Walt animatronic. That was a a cool show. I will oftentimes do the President's Show, A, because I think it's cool, and B, because it's a great place to cool off during a hot period of time. Same way with Carousel of Progress. I'll stop by there. If I'm in Magic, if I'm in Animal Kingdom, the Lion King show is also obviously a very cool one to see. I don't do a lot of them, and it's really just, hey, typically, is it something that's close by, open to do? Do I want to sit down? Do I want to cool off? That's typically how I see the shows.
Patrick, you have a different situation because you have a youngin. Do you go?
I do.
Do you go see the shows, or do you guys?
I am going to see the shows. I'm seeing Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to see Frozen. I am seeing all the shows. I imagine as soon as it's back, I will be spending an inordinate amount of time watching The Little Mermaid, which I was glad when I thought it was never coming back because I hated it so much. I'm meeting characters. I'm going to shows, and I'm riding a few attractions, but for the most part, I'm out there getting all the experiences I can. And I think that's a mistake people make a lot, is that they bank so much on what attractions they're riding and miss things like I've mentioned it before. The Lion King show, the Festival of Lion King, is the highest rated thing on Walt Disney World property. Go see it. It's incredible.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think a lot of people treat them like Six Flags, and they go in and they're like, well, let me just ride the roller coasters and get out. Wait, Magic Kingdom only has, 3 roller coasters? No, thank you. But you're missing out. And I think that's, again, I've heard people come back and go, well, there weren't too many rides, so we really didn't have a good time. And it's like, there are so many other experiences to have at a Disney park, and that's really what makes it great to me and I've talked about Dollywood. I love Dollywood, but when my wife and I go, I kind of need to not do all of the thrill rides. We do some of like the shows and things. But when I go with my son, it's the opposite. Like we're going to ride the thrill rides and not go to the shows. And so I love that Disney has a lot of middle ground with the dark rides and like some of the cool effect shows and things that they have. So honestly, I feel like it has more that brings to the table. You'd mentioned earlier, Patrick, about your daughter and Epic Universe, and there's a lot of things she's still not tall enough for. There are a lot of things here beyond the rides, like, again, those thrill rides that she can do, which is awesome. So speaking of rides, almost here, Lightning Lane or Linger in Line. Here it goes again. This is only 2 in this show so far. When I was in Tokyo, I knew I was only there for a short amount of time, and so I was like, yes, take my money. Here it is. I need to go and I need to get on these attractions because I may never get these again, and we only have X amount of time here. And it's not like, Rob, you talked about with like DVC and being able to go back, and you'll be able to go back. So, Rob, when you go, do you do Lightning Lane? Do you do multi-pass? Do you do it just for a day? Do you do single pass? Do you do Premier? What do you do?
Yeah, so typically I will use it. I'll get Lightning Lane, multi-pass, and individual passes when I am in Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. The other 2 parks, I don't. It's because the lines typically aren't long enough, or they're just rides I don't care about for the most part. But for Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, I do, but not for the others.
Okay. And Patrick, same question.
That's a really good strategy. Magic Kingdom is a definite. I think it's necessary in Magic Kingdom because if not, you're going to get really stuck in a lot of long lines there. Hollywood Studios also, because there's so few attractions and there are a lot of big ticket, e-ticket attractions. I don't for Animal Kingdom. Who knows what it's going to be like in 2 years when it's a more full park, and I imagine Encanto is going to be its own big thing. Since I'm not really riding Guardians all the time, I probably don't in Epcot because I just want to sit on Living with the Land. I've said it before. I said it again. It's my favorite attraction. Just going to go and, you know what I should do is I should have Rob record the old spiel for me, and I could just pop in my AirPods and listen to Rob and get the old song going.
As we look to the future and we listen to the land. Anyway, so I get that it's a different thing for us because we go more often, but it is, I think, a good strategy for most people to do multi-pass, especially if you have families and you want to get in things and you're not going to go very often. I hate that you have to do it now and you can't get the 3 free ones that you used to be able to get, especially as how expensive the entire trip is. But again, you want to make the most of the time, and time is money, and they have the time. They're selling it to you. So that's the thing. Speaking of money, and this is the final topic that I wanted to hit on, or about the way you do the park. When we go to Disney, and Patrick, you said this once, and I never forgot it. As you said, we are so invested in Disney, or you are so invested in Disney, financially and emotionally invested in Disney. And so when you go, and your wife's not going to pay attention to this, so you don't have to curb your answer. But do you set a budget, or do you just go for broke? Do you just go like, I'm just going to have a good time because it's Disney, or do you set a budget and stick close to it?
You set a budget with some flexibility, because if you are very rigid, you're not going to have a good time, I think. But if you go way over your budget and you go and check your bank account at the end of the trip, it could really ruin what was a magical trip because you went a little out of control. So I say budget with a decent amount of flexibility, but be smart. For me, I love Spirit jerseys. I own 0 because it's just not in my budget for a $75 sweatshirt that I may not wear outside the parks, or may not wear in the parks because they're in Florida and it's hot. So give yourself some flexibility, and especially be flexible with your meals. People who don't live in the Northeast or other areas that have like a lot of prices that are similar balk at these prices, but go eat something good, because one of the things that people get wrong about Disney all the time when they do Disney is that they're eating poorly and they're blaming it on the Disney parks, when it's their inability to budget properly and say like, hey, maybe we spend $150 and have a great sit down meal.
Yeah, what's funny about what you just said, and it's actually very triggering for me, is that when we were younger and I would go to the Disney parks and they would hang the bill, I think I've said this before, they would hang the bill on your doorknob at the end, and I would always want to race to get it first. Because if my wife had pulled it up and saw how bad it was, she'd probably be like, well, that was our last trip to Disney. Or it would have ruined that trip, because again, especially with magic bands where you just like tap tap tap. I don't do that anymore. Like, I'm more cognizant of like what I'm doing with that, and so usually when I get the room charge at the end, it's not going to be anything I've probably done on credit card and tried to pay attention to it. But the opposite, like I think a lot of people try to buy the food packages, the dining package, and love the dining package because they've pre-built in the idea of how much they're going to eat, and sometimes you end up with too much left over. And I think that was the problem with us, is we would end up with too much left over. We would feel constricted that we couldn't eat at the places we would want to eat or get the things we wanted to get. But I do think for a lot of people that's probably pretty helpful. But Rob, what is your thought on this?
Yeah, so again, the way I do Disney is again different than probably a lot of people do it. I have an annual pass and I have DVC, right? So those are by far the two largest expenses. And typically when I fly, I use points because I travel so much professionally. So that the biggest chunk of traveling to Disney is covered already. So yeah, do I throw in, am I okay spending money for some extras that maybe some people might seem to be a little extreme? Sure. But I'm only able to do that because the most expensive portions of my Disney experience have already been, it's not free, obviously, but it's prepaid. And I don't have to factor that into the cost of any individual trip. And obviously, look at me, I eat a lot of really good food.
I mean, don't we all? It's funny you would say like it's like everything's built in already. There was a thing that a guy posted on X today that I saw where it was somebody was holding up. It was a VIP guide holding up two like milkshakes, and the caption that someone had put on it was, when your VIP or POV, when your VIP guide shows up with free milkshakes. And the guy posted free, like you're paying for that. Like that's the thing you're paying for. So even though
$5 grand for those milkshakes.
Yeah, exactly. So even though, it feels like we have already kind of pre-invested in Disney, and the fact that we all three have DVC and we all three have, or I have an annual pass. I know that Patrick kind of picks his up whenever he's gonna like go hard on the parks, and I did the same thing with Disneyland this time. Like I've been carrying a Magic Key forever, and I'm pausing that for a little while because of some other trips that I've done. That doesn't count as a thing that as me saying the thing. But anyway, but I do want to get one last thought from you guys, but I want to kind of thank everybody for being here tonight. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us on Sunday nights. Please tell a friend that this is where you can find this group of people. It's the Park Adventurers Club, parkadventurersclub.com. We have been dropping like parades and fireworks shows that I've recorded, and we've got a lot of content coming on Tokyo. I'm going to go ahead and say it again, on Tokyo, that I'm working on right now to kind of help everybody out with like kind of sharing the trip that we had and see how that helps other people down the road.
I can't wait to see it, Rob.
Well, I appreciate you, man. And then also, don't forget, we do a lot of other things on this channel, including The Happiest Stays was a show that Shannon does. The last one she did was the Disney Riviera Resort, so you can check that out on this channel. Last Wednesday night, Ron, Deanna, and I did Something Wicked This Way Comes on our movie review show. So, definitely check that one out. And then this week, this guy is going to do a movie review with me.
It's Morbid time!
It's
Morbid time!
We're gonna review Morbius for those of you guys. Yeah, I know, and you picked it, so we'll see how all that goes.
I'm gonna be so mad at myself because this is time I could be spending. Well, no, she'll probably be in bed. It's like with loved ones. I'm like, no, It's time I could be better spent. But I'm doing it for you, Pack. Anything for the Pack.
Yep, we love our Park Adventurers Club. Thank you guys for being members of the pack, for helping to support our channel, for hanging out here with us on your Sunday night. Big shout out to the pack in general. If you want more information on how to become a member, you can go to patreon.com/GoPackPAC. And a big shout out to Jungle Cruiser, Rosita, Michael J. Ware, Alicia, Rob B, Vince, Jordan, Sienna, Bucky, Egg, and Kevin and Bonnie for being members at our Zebra and Treasure Room level. Thank you guys so much for helping support the channel. We reinvest in the channel and everything that you guys give us, and we're trying to get it, grow it. So if you know somebody that loves Disney stuff, send them our way. We would love to do that. But I want to finish off here by asking you guys each one last question, because again, as I was kind of ramping up there, we already have DVC and annual passes. And Patrick, you gave your hack at the beginning about like what things to bring with you and what things to pack. But I want to ask you guys each, and I'll start with Rob on this one, just in case his lights go out, and then I'll go to Patrick next, is if there was one thing after we've talked about all this stuff that you would impart to someone who has never been to Disney or is going for the first time in a while about how you do Disney, what would that be? What's the thing that you would want to make sure that they know for themselves, not necessarily for you, starting with Rob?
Yeah, so for me, the quickest way to ruin your trip is to get super stressed out about it. So my recommendation would be to people, like, are there a few things that you feel like you have to do? And if you don't go and ride this ride or see this character, you'll feel like the event was a waste of money. Make sure you get those in, but make sure you also build in a lot of flexibility. In reality, this probably isn't the last time you're going to be at Disney over your lifetime. There'll be plenty of time. So just make sure you build in downtime during your trip, relaxation time during your trip, and just enjoy being there. That's probably the biggest piece of it. Enjoy just being there, being around the cast members, being around all the magic that is Disney, and you'll have a great time every single time.
Love it. And Patrick?
You need to be prepared. Go into it like you're training for something, like a race. You need to be physically, mentally prepared. You need to know what you're doing. Go in with a plan. Go in with some idea of what you want to do, and be ready for what you're about to take on. I mean, check your step trackers. Are you doing 20, 25,000 steps a day? Because you will be. Comfortable shoes, changes of clothes, and take care of yourselves out there.
All right, love it. And again, thank you guys for being with us tonight. Don't forget, Wednesday night, 9 p.m., we're going to do a Look on the Plus Side, Morbin time. And so do your homework for that. And then Friday night, we're going to do it's Halloween. And so I just figured my tradition for Halloween is every Halloween night I watch The Nightmare Before Christmas. I know Patrick has a thing about that movie, but I love that movie. It's one of my favorites. And so I'm going to do a watch along for that. If you guys want to join me 8:30 on Friday night. If you're not already giving out candy or whatever, and you want to hang out, and we'll do a watch along with the Tim Burton classic, A Nightmare Before Christmas, and it'll be a great way to kind of wrap up the Halloween season and launch us into the holiday season, as it were. So again, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you fellas for being here. Thanks, Rob, for driving all the way to God knows where so that we could have this meeting tonight, and appreciate you. Y'all have a great week. Be safe, and don't forget, adventure is out there.
Get better.
You nailed it. It was beautiful.